We are now speaking about building a sustainable cannabis brand with CEO of Zenbarn Farms, Noah Fishman. Thank you for joining us, Noah. How are things going on the East Coast?
Hello. Sorry, just figuring out the technology here. Things are going great. It's a beautiful day here in Vermont. Just got up to 70 degrees, which is, uh, yeah, we just magnificent day. It's been a long winter for us, and yeah, really glad to be here.
Thank you for joining us. And you have quite the career in international development and sustainable agriculture. How did you end up in the cannabis industry, and what have you done with your professional background?
Yeah, my background, my career was really in international development and local community development projects. I worked, right out of college. I was really excited about working in Africa. I had a real passion for getting out and traveling. So I pursued that kind of work and travel, and then coming back to Vermont, I got involved with um, local efforts to get sustainable like composting systems together and recycling and job training, workforce development. And along the way, I just more and more I found the nonprofit world to be challenging. I was really passionate about the issues, but I found the sustainability of that sector to be really difficult and sort of more slow moving than I wanted it to be, and thought I could make more impact by going into more social enterprise and business, and sort of wanted to combine all these things together. And long story short, I started a restaurant, and then through the restaurant, we really started to get into hemp and CBD, and doing cannabis events. Cannabis has always been a passion of mine and something I've been interested in, and we were able to really combine it at our restaurant, and then it really just kind of organically took off from there. We started to grow it and make food and drink, and you know that kind of led to our current venture, Zenbarn Farms.
Great. Did you have a presentation you wanted to share?
Yes, let me figure out. Guess I hit share screen.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So, on a local level, have you had any challenges with creating CBD beverages, um, or offering cannabis through your restaurant? How
Um,
well received has it been with the community?
yeah, I mean, on the locally, I think it's been an adventure. I think we've had a lot of support and a lot of excitement, and yeah, we've had a lot of the same kind of pushbacks that I think in gray areas that we're dealing with, like anybody in this business. But overall, I've had just a lot of excitement that we're doing things that just had never been done before. So I think for the most part, it's been a lot of more support than the negative um, pushback. Um, all right, so does not be able to record. Okay. Okay. You
Perfect.
guys, are you seeing my screen now?
Yes, we are.
Okay, great. So, yeah, so my name's Noah Fishman. I'm the co-owner CEO at Zenbarn Farms. We're in Waterbury, Vermont, small town. Just a few thousand people live here, but we're really in this like tourist corridor in central Vermont. You may have heard of places like Ben and Jerry's, Green Mountain Coffee Roasters, Alchemist Brewery. There's a bunch of famous brands that have popped out of our little town here. So we are small, but we have a lot of really cool things happening. Craft beer has really been a huge thing of late, and mountain biking, and lots of beautiful farmland around here. So it's the kind of place that, yeah, we're really close to nature, and we're close to the land here. We spend a lot of time outside, skiing, biking, and I grew up here in Waterbury, and coming back to my home after traveling and doing all this work, I really wanted to, combine all my passions into something that would truly be something I can leave to my kids and their kids and future generations, which I think is really at the heart of what a sustainable business is supposed to do out here in the world. And so I'm just going to tell a little bit of our story of how we developed our business, some of the aspirations we have, some of the challenges, some of the opportunities that we saw, and how we're trying to pursue a truly sustainable, local, community-based cannabis brand. And my hope is that we're telling our story. It's part of a bigger story of how we can make this industry something special that I think a lot of us, don't want to just see cannabis be another industry that has the same old way of doing business, and that we can do things differently. So we started, this as a small family farm is one aspect, and we came back. Like I said, we were living in Washington D.C. about 13 years ago. My older son, that you can see there, with the long locks, when he was born, we decided to move back to Vermont, and he's 13 now, and went back to my family's land. We built a house on the land. We have about 42 acres. I grew up walking around this property, walking through the brook, hardening my feet on the rocks and burying myself in the mud, and making forts in the woods, skipping stones, all that kind of stuff. And, I didn't really think about it much as a kid, but as an adult now, that really formed the basis of my sense of place, home, my relationship with nature and with the ecology around me. So, as I came back to Vermont and worked in a bunch of different nonprofits, I ended up in wanting to really get into business and expand the impact of what I wanted to do through the business sector, and not be not as much through focusing on the nonprofit sector. And I so went off to get an MBA. During that time, my brother, you can see pictured here next to me in that with the One Love picture there. He was also kind of searching around and wanted to start a bar. His dream was to always be like Sam from Cheers and just have like a neighborhood bar, bring the community together. So right next door to us, there was a restaurant. You can see pictured here. That's now Zenbarn. And this is an old dairy barn converted to a restaurant in the 70s. This is actually my first job. I used to walk, where I grew up is right down the road from here. I used to walk over here to wash dishes, 14, 15 years old. And that was the really only time I worked in a restaurant my whole career. This building, about 8 years ago, was up for auction. Nobody was biting on it. It was just sitting there. It needed a ton of work. One day, as I was in school, my brother was poking around for a business location. He went to the auction for the building, and had an investor friend who said, yeah, if it goes to this price, goes low enough, I'll buy the building. You can do whatever you want with it. So they walked out, long story short, of that auction with this building. And so my brother calls me later that night and says, all right, I think you're in business school, right? I guess you better start making a business plan. So I went to work. It was an exciting opportunity. It was this building that I really was connected to. I knew well, and it's kind of in the center of the community, like between the downtown and Waterbury Center, where a lot of the houses are, and a lot of developments happening with people up in the dirt roads and all that. So it's kind of right in the middle of town, and it's a great central place to gather. So we really, knowing the community and growing up here and seeing what we want to do, and with our lens of the kind of change we want to see in our community and in the world, we put together a concept that combined a restaurant, a live music venue, and a wellness studio upstairs. So you can see here pictured in the center of the wellness studio. This was the old hayloft, and then downstairs we had the idea for the restaurant. So we successfully launched the restaurant. We started a vibrant community around this. We became a real destination in the area for live music, having now had many famous performers coming through, and we had regular yoga and wellness classes up until COVID hit this last year. So along the way, hemp became legal. We started this in 2016. I think by 2017, Vermont established a legal framework for hemp, and we were excited. We were always advocates for cannabis and always dreamt of growing and doing more with cannabis. So as soon as we were able to, we started growing hemp in our backyard, in our property, and started doing events at Zenbarn that became very well known. We had our annual 420 parties. We had hemp and hops dinners, which involved multi-course, fixed-price meals where we were really bringing incredible farm-to-table food together with really great craft beer that we're known for in the area, along with hemp-infused foods. So we could show like the interplay between the flavors and the effects of all these different elements and have a really fun experience. So those events were really popular. Our cannabis drinks really took off, and people loved the idea that they could come in and, maybe not drink alcohol for a night and have a nice CBD cocktail. We were the first place in the state of Vermont to try that out in the cocktail program, and went through the process of getting our local liquor control board to actually approve it, which they had never been asked before. So it was a bit of a process there. But we really pushed forward right from the beginning on like creating a culture and community around cannabis, live music, food, drink, all together. These are some pictures of one of our 420 parties where we built a 20-foot tall sculpture that was loaded with fireworks. A local incredible sculptor, Chris Cleary, built this and has a fire dancing troupe. So you can see we had hundreds of people here, and we did a big kind of symbolic festival where we had live music afterwards and food getting passed around, and this also brought together. This was just on the eve of our legalization bill that was just passed this year, and we were also really pushing and advocating for legalization, and we had some leaders who were involved in that process present and speaking at this event as well. So yeah, you can see our cocktails really became popular with the CBD leaf garnish and our food, and we managed to, this actually helped a lot with our restaurant too. As a new restaurant in an area with a lot of food options, we became differentiated and really well known for our inclusion of CBD and cannabis on the menu. So out of all that, out of the restaurant really, the restaurant really birthed our CBD and cannabis brand, which we built off the brand to develop Zenbarn Farms, which is both a product line as well as a retail store and a cannabis education center, which I'll talk about a little more later. But this is all pretty new for us. We had developed a small line of products last year with some tinctures and topicals using the hemp that we grew on our family farm. And then another sort of serendipitous opportunity emerged where an existing CBD shop had gone out of business just around the corner from us. You can see in the picture here the shop with the kind in front of it. That's another sculpture built by that same artist who built the cannabis sculpture. And that's the base floor of that is our CBD store that we moved into just in August of this year. And it's right around the corner within about a half mile of the restaurant. So it's right on the same little strip. And this is actually right on Route 100, basically the next building after Ben & Jerry's factory, which is the #1 tourist destination in Vermont. So we really had a vision to create a cannabis center of excellence where we can both sell products, but also educate our community and have a agritourism component where we can showcase the growing, the processing, and the product of cannabis in all its glory. So as we build this out, our plan is to have that front area to be a demonstration grow, place where we can do workshops, and we also have a space inside where we can do additional interior workshops, job training, education as well, in addition to the retail store itself. So our farm, is on that family property that I grew up on. Again, right next door to Zenbarn, all on this tight little strip within a mile, within about a square mile. We do a small grow. We're trying to intentionally keep things small. We have pretty good amount of property, about 42 acres that we could expand, and we've thought about it. But every time we've tried growing this plant, we found that we've been wanting to put a lot of attention and really learn the plant before we expand the scale. So we've started very small. And we've grown just for our products really, and we've noticed as a whole in Vermont, a lot of folks have grown a lot of cannabis or a lot of CBD products or CBD flower that is sitting in fields, not getting harvested, or sitting in storage because they don't have a source to sell it. So we didn't want to end up in that situation. So we're really growing just what we need to process into oil for our product. And even smokable product, we're actually working with some partner farms who are really focused on the smokable segment, because we realize that that's also an area that takes more work. We have a lot going on, so we've focused on what we feel like we do best. We've also, we realized early on that we needed to really achieve our goals and we wanted to have more of a vertically integrated model, yet we didn't have the resources to pull it all together ourselves. And we've done that through partnerships. We have a really close relationship with a state-of-the-art CO2 extraction lab, again, within 20 miles of our facility, so very local. And we approached them as a retail partner to their existing lab facilities. So they had all the technology, they had all the science and the ability to do extraction formulation, but they did not want to sit there and deal with customers and promote and market what they do. So we developed a nice relationship where we're selling the services and we're marketing the product that they have, and we're also getting a chance to really get in deep with research and development, with learning and hands-on approach to really getting our products made and kind of coming up with innovative products that really are meeting the needs of the customers that we're in touch with every day. So that's been a really nice relationship and something that we're building on as we go. I would also say that this lab also is really important for us to partner with, to be able to have opportunities for education, not just for ourselves, but for the industry. We really endeavor to create a education program where we can bring in folks from around the country to come to Vermont to learn every aspect of the industry, from soil to farming and growing side of things, to retail operations, product development, and lab operations as well. So our products, we've recently sold out of our first batch from last year of products that we made, and we are working on next round where we have a lot more products that are really tailored to our customers' needs, as I mentioned, and also feature some really cool initiatives and sort of progress I think we've made as a brand, both in terms of quality of the product and in terms of our sustainability. One of the things that we've noticed is people are coming into our store with very specific needs and real issues. They're not. Some people are using this recreationally, and I'm talking about CBD because we're not legal to sell other cannabis products at this point. But in terms of the CBD market, people have real issues, and we've learned a lot about those issues. And so we're targeting and doing more focused formulas in collaboration with our lab that deal with very specific issues from sleep to anxiety to pain and things like that. So really excited about that. We've also made some real leaps forward with sourcing materials that are more sustainable. We're working with a really, really cool fair trade olive oil company out of Palestine that has put together a cooperative of Palestinian farmers and makes, hands down, I believe, the best olive oil in the world. Really, really incredible stuff. We have also another product using fair trade shea butter from Ghana, and partial proceeds from that product will go to support the development of a school out there. A friend of mine has been working on for many years. And so all those kind of things really hit where the confluence for me of where my activism and community development work can mesh together with our product line in this new business. Overall, we really try to vet partners who share the same vision for regenerative farming that builds healthy soils, closing the loop as much as possible, eliminating waste, and being transparent and accountable, both in terms of lab testing and all that, but also in terms of their mission and their reason for being in business. We've put forth a program here, Cannabis for a Cause. All of our products and our retail sales, any money we bring in, 1% goes into a fund, and we donate that to organizations that are doing work that we feel really aligns with our mission and that advances the industry as a whole. And I think for us, this was just a thing that puts us in line with other businesses and other sectors that we love, that have spearheaded the idea of social enterprise and business being able to do good in the world. So we view this as a real starting point and not the end, but a starting point for engaging and partnering and putting our money where our mouth is in terms of our business. And it's not easy because when you're starting up a business, you're usually not making money, and we're not making profits. So we're taking this money out of our pocket, and and that's why we think the 1% on gross is really important and not a profit based, because even we believe that entering into this industry, given the historic injustices being done, we have to find ways to start to undo those things. And this is reflected in the type of organizations we're working with. We started local, and we actually not just helped fund, but we founded with a bunch of other community members the Waterbury Area Anti-Racism Coalition. We helped design, the branding of this organization, as well as organize meetings, following some of the Black Lives Matter protests. We had our own gathering here in Waterbury, which was the first, this town that's 99% white and thinks that they don't have these issues for the most part. It's the first time they've ever seen anything like this. So we organized a rally. This Waterbury Stands with Black Lives Matter banner was something we designed and helped install in town and got approval through our select board to be able to display that in town. And now my wife, who's also a co-owner of the business, has been working really closely with this coalition and the local school system, and really trying to develop an anti-racism platform for our town and try to help educate and move this issue forward. We've also partnered with some other national level organizations dealing with key issues that we think are facing, that are intrinsic to this work. Getting people out of prison that have been arrested for possessing cannabis seemed like something that is just essential, and we love the work of Last Prisoner Project, and we have them in our rotation to give through our Cannabis for a Cause program. And then the Loveland Foundation is a new one for us that we really are excited about, as we've seen through COVID and the confluence and intersectionality of COVID combined with the racial equity issues and all the tumultuousness of the protests that have been going on during this period, and the isolation Loveland Foundation is working on mental health, really targeting BIPOC community, and we're going to do a whole campaign over the next few months to talk about mental health and its relationship with cannabis, with the isolation we've all been facing, and how we can address this, in particular in the BIPOC community. So, our bringing this all together, from our brand to the different elements of what we're doing, we've always had this concept of a cannabis education center, and we're planning to launch this in this summer. COVID sort of put a little bit of a stall on this, but we have another space, and we also have a few other spaces at Zenbarn, as the restaurant and the event space, as well as at our Zenbarn Farms CBD store, where we intend to bring people, particularly BIPOC folks from around the country. We want to bring them to Vermont. We want this to be a center where people can come, they can get some time away from their businesses, away from the busy lives they lead, to retreat, to network, to get some job training. We want to offer apprenticeships, and be able to really have a place that can help empower BIPOC people to get into this industry in a real way. Across the country, many of the equity programs seem to be falling short, despite good intentions, and we feel like we can play a role even in a place like Vermont that's 94% white, to really help train and empower the next generation of entrepreneurs and employees and leaders in the cannabis industry. So I guess overall our approach is really partnership based, and we're excited to work together to build a cannabis industry that is hopefully sustainable. I think that's still, sustainability I find is a very difficult concept to grasp, especially in given how unsustainable we seem to be heading in this world. But with a love of our place, which it all comes down to, and a real sense of our community and understanding of our past and how we can move this together, I think we can really achieve something great with this industry, and we're very excited to do that. We're happy to be involved here in Vermont. We're also looking to build partnerships more broadly. We want to bring people out here. We want to get people to see what we're doing. We can host conferences, retreats, job training events here. We're also available to come, out and help and bring what we've learned so far as a small business and trying to operate in this space of cannabis, social justice, sustainability, CBD, looking at the next year of moving to the dispensary world. We want to collaborate and build partnerships with other like-minded businesses. So that's pretty much all I have for the presentation part. Happy to answer questions, chat further. You can get in touch with me and us, our team, through our social media, website, and my email's there if anybody wants to get in touch directly. But thank you so much. It's really an honor to be here, and excited to talk more and connect.
Thank you, Noah. That was awesome. Your farm is incredible. There we are. That to me is just a beautiful example of sustainability, beyond farm to table, what the farm is doing for the community, and that the community is collaborating with you and showing appreciation. So when it comes to building a sustainable cannabis brand, what advice do you have for other business owners that are in the industry?
Yeah, I mean, the way I really think of place and, finding your place, like really understanding where you are and what the environment is and the ecology really can push us towards the right decisions. I think very often we get stuck in sort of the technical aspects and focused on one aspect of sustainability, but sustainability is holistic. and it requires, I think, to truly be sustainable, it requires us to really understand our community. So I think what we've done is try to build it organically from starting from a love of our place and our community, and engaging our community as a whole in a process of really defining what that is and what it can be, imagining the future, but also really, because if we start going too far past where our community's at, they're not going to be comfortable and they're going to reject everything. I've had little pushbacks. If we go too far in one thing, we try to push an agenda, all of a sudden you lose the very people you're trying to have come along, because sustainability is a community effort. It has to be. We can't act alone. So I guess that's kind of many things involved there, but I think really starting with your place, understanding it, seeing what are the trees like there, what's the soil like there, how's the water, and who lives there and who used to live there, and how do we sort of understand our place in history here.
So if I understand correctly, I mean, you've got multiple facets that compose your business model. You have the farm, you have the restaurant, you have your products. With the World Health crisis that's happened, has it impacted all of them or just part of it?
Yeah, I mean, it's impacted everything. It's changed everything. It's changed a lot of our plans. I mean, it sort of it begs for resilience, and I think that's an important piece of sustainability we have to acknowledge, is that like nature is very resilient. They can deal with many things, and crises thrown at them, and you know natural disasters, things happen, and I think we can learn from that. And the restaurant, has been really difficult through COVID. We've stayed open. We've stayed nimble. We've gotten as efficient as we possibly can, and it's been a huge challenge. We're a live music venue. That's also been a huge challenge. We pivoted in 10 different ways. We've done live streaming. We've done almost everything you can imagine. We opened the CBD store. We were poised to open that in April. We were going to launch on 420, probably like every good cannabis business. And March came around and COVID was raging, and we weren't sure if we were going to continue. And so we kind of just jumped in there. We're like, all right, the restaurant's going to slow down. Let's bring our crew over and start working at the cannabis store and build this out together. And so we brought a lot of our staff over and started working on building the retail store out. So we just really remained agile. It's been it's been incredibly, almost impossibly hard to keep going. But we've managed to prove that we're still here, and we're still, pushing forward and making some good progress.
Well, thank you so much for sharing with us. And I know I will be in touch with you because I have a recommendation for helping to grow your business, possibly outside of the state. So that's what we do. We connect the world, and we tend to connect the businesses that present with other presenters that have solutions that can enable growth. So, Tasha, did you have any questions for Noah?
Yes, I thought about it. I had questions, but then your presentation answered all the questions that I had.
Oh my, that's
So I had to
yeah.
come up with new questions. So I have two questions for you because I I'm a former teacher, so I'm a former educator. I was an English teacher for over 10 years. And one reason why I got into education was due to social equity. And I wanted to give the same experience to uh, low income kids or more at risk kids, give them the same level playing field as any other, person would have. So my question to you is, why do you find it important that your company participates in social equity projects?
Um, yeah, I guess it's, it's way before cannabis. We were doing this work. So I view this work of like repairing the world is part of what, like me, that's what we're doing. And cannabis is a vehicle, I think, that can help do that. My wife's an educator. She's been working in this kind of work for a long time. When we lived in DC, we were involved in all sorts of projects all the time, like in our volunteer time and our professional work. Um, both of us have been involved as activists, as people that are trying to make the world a better place. And when you look at the cannabis industry, it's not only that cannabis was largely used as a tool of oppression in this country, and that there's a lot of injustice that was done. I mean, I think that propels us, I think, in this industry to maybe try to right the harms of the past, in particular. But I also view it as like cannabis and the people that I've known throughout my life that are into cannabis. I think have a different paradigm that they want to move us to. They have a strong sense of justice, and they have a strong sense of equity. And I think we have a real chance as me and my community organizer mindset. I'm thinking this is an opportunity. We have some momentum, and we have an industry that we can build that's going to be like a powerful force for this. So we can bring in the money, and we've got a lot of momentum where people want to make some real change. So I think it's an opportunity, and I think we have to do it. I mean, we're seeing that equity it's probably the issue of our time, in terms of finally like righting the wrongs of the past. I mean, it's like, how long are we gonna stand by and watch this happen? I mean, we're sick of it. We're sick of it. So I think the time is right, and the cannabis industry has so much power and potential to really make an impact that that's part of what's really propelled us into this. Is like, wow, we can make some real change here. And if we can if an industry can emerge that can really make a big impact, I think this is it. It seems
Yeah.
like this is it, and there's a lot of interest in empowering BIPOC people to get into this industry. um, you know, I think we are one of probably a very small number of what are considered BIPOC owned businesses in Vermont. So people have been looking to us and we're sort of like, they're now like, all right, well, here's an example of this in action, of a BIPOC business that can do this. And so at first we were resisting that, and now I think we're saying, all right, we're going to own that, and we're going to bring a lot more people into that tent too. So we really want to sort of embody that example and show that we can do this, and you know push if we have an opening, push
And
as far as we can.
I appreciate that because there were several other presenters that were on that were also speaking about socially equitable programs that they're also involved in. And so, companies that are giving back to the community, of course, that's an important thing, but why do it in the first place? And so, that's, since you're our last speaker, that's what I kind of wanted to end with, is why is it important to give back to the community, especially in this industry, and what impact we as industry leaders can have in creating social equity programs and contributing to social equity programs. Sorry, I'm like, I've been up since early this morning. Um, so I just want to say thank you so much. I appreciate your, drive to be a community organizer, to educate, to do all the things that you're doing. Thank you so much for being here. I'm gonna pass it back over to Denise because we have to wrap up. Sadly, I I always look forward to Canna World because there's so many different opportunities. There's so much information. We have so much fun here, and anytime that it's time to say goodbye, I always get sad. So,
Oh. Well, we will see you next Saturday, our soul sister. So we have a jam-packed agenda for next Saturday for day 2. Noah, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you to all the presenters. Thank you to all of our media moderators and our media partners.